Welcome to this week's edition of Heart of the Mule underneath the Taylor Industries tent. I'm joined here by senior cross-country and track runner Michael Gawlick. Michael, thank you for the time.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Michael, let's go ahead and get started with just the FCA. Just kind of talk about how you got involved with FCA in general.
I got involved with FCA my freshman year here. We had it at Shine Mission South High School I went to. Never really went to it because I didn't really understand it. And when I got here, I had a friend on the track team, Brad Banowitz, who is also our president this year. He invited me over to the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, thought I'd give it a shot, and I went, ended up really liking it, like the people who went, so pulled me in.
So Michael, how did you kind of come to your relationship with Christ?
Well, prior to my freshman year of college, I really just kind of went through the motions, went to church because my parents took me. I didn't really necessarily understand it all that well. So my freshman year, I decided to try and take a step back, see if there were other options I could explore. Didn't necessarily want to believe anymore, and after a couple of days, I realized that I didn't like that. I wanted to have a relationship with Christ. So from that moment, I would say that I really started trying to develop a relationship with Christ, trying to develop a relationship with the people around me, and that's made a huge difference in my life.
And not only have you do all the spiritual stuff that you have, but also the running and the training. How are you able to balance those two?
Well, it's definitely difficult, but they're both very big parts of my life, so I have to find a way. And fortunately for me as a runner, I can almost double them. Being out there on runs by myself, I'm able to just kind of sit back and meditate. But a lot of it is being aware of what's going on around me. So being aware of when church is, how I'm going to get to church, being aware of what my practice is and how I can develop the relationships with the people around me to really grow in myself.
And just kind of talk about, how does your relationship with Christ help you with your running?
Well, my relationship with Christ helps in my running because what it does is it really relaxes me. My couple years in high school, I really became a head case because I was really focused on myself. I was focused on my glory. And when I got to college, I was able to take a step back and relax because of my relationship with Christ, because I realized there were things that were bigger than me, and that really allowed me to take a step back and really focus on what was important.
And just kind of talk about, you mentioned how with, the spiritual and the running and all that, mm-hmm. There's still that other side. We're in college after all. Mm-hmm. How does your relationship with Christ help you in your studies?
I believe that humans are spiritual creatures, no matter what they believe in. It's just kind of what we tend to vary for. We look for meaning in anything almost. So dealing with my studies, it's interesting to see how I can take this spiritualness that I'm trying to develop and relate it to my history degree, because I'm a history major, mm-hmm. and see how I can really understand what drives people to be good and what motivates love behind people. And it's really just fascinating to see those all culminate together.
And you kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but talk about just a certain time that your faith has really been tested here at UCM.
For me, it's just the idea that, if Jesus is who he said he was, and he was willing to die and be crucified for his sins, and that's really hard for me to comprehend sometimes. So when I'm out there running, I'm having a hard portion of my race, it's easy to remember I'm not having nails driven through my hand, I'm not being whipped and persecuted for who I am. So that makes it easier for me to realize that he was willing to go through that for us. What am I willing to do for his glory? And that makes it a little bit easier for me to run, a little easier to focus.
What would you say is the biggest benefit that you've received through Christ?
Greatest benefit for my faith is definitely the relationships I'm developing with people. They're real relationships. I'm focused on what it means to really, truly love someone, what that love really means. And that's definitely allowed me to grow in my relationships with people and develop a stronger bond with them.
So now I told you a little bit to bring the Bible and just tell us your favorite verse, and go ahead and give us kind of the meaning behind why you chose that as your favorite verse.
All right, the verse I picked was Romans chapter 5, 1 through 5. Therefore, since we have been declared righteous by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. Also through him, we have obtained access by faith into this grace in which we stand, and we rejoice in the hope of the glory of God. And not only that, but we also rejoice in our afflictions, because we know that affliction produces endurance. Endurance produces proven character, and proven character produces hope. This hope does not disappoint because God's love has been poured out in our hearts through the Holy Spirit who is given to us. So I think that's just honestly a really cool verse right there. I always think of Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption when he says, hope is a good thing and no good thing ever dies. I think that's kind of how I feel about this verse, just knowing that it's good and the glory of God is really what matters, knowing that when I deal with these afflictions, they're going to make me a better person, that it's going to strengthen me and make me stronger in my relationship with Christ. And that's really exciting to me.
And you mentioned a little bit from the reading there about, endurance builds character. Obviously, being a long distance runner, you have to have an endurance that builds that character.
Yes, sir.
Is there a little coincidence behind that?
Yeah, definitely. I know it's a pretty big runner verse. A lot of runners like it, just the whole idea of endurance, because there is this idea, when you're a distance runner, you're continuously running miles after miles after miles to really harden your body. And that's kind of how I view life. You have to deal with these painful issues, deal with these hard issues in your life because they're going to make you stronger. When you're stronger through these afflictions, it's going to strengthen your character. It's going to strengthen who you are.
Coming up after the break, we'll be back to talk more about the athletics side of Michael Gawlick. This guy, he's a stud right here. We'll be right back with more from the Heart of the Mule underneath the Taylor Industries tent. We'll be right back after this.
I choose to be a champion.
I choose to be inspired.
I choose the perfect fit.
I choose red to experience learning to a greater degree.
Choose red. Choose the University of Central Missouri.
Welcome to Taylor Tidbits here, presented by Taylor Industries. I'm sitting alongside here with founder and CEO of Taylor Industries, Mike Ballard. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Absolutely. And go ahead and just tell us a little bit about what Taylor Industries is and what kind of services and products you provide.
Taylor Industries is a manufacturer of medical products. Our main thing that we do here in this facility is ECG electrodes, which are used to monitor your heartbeat. If you're ever in a hospital, or say they do a stress test on you on a treadmill, they're going to have them on you to monitor your heart. We also manufacture TENS electrodes for nerve stimulating, and we custom build machinery to do different things.
And you just kind of mentioning here, this is your newest machine here,
Yes.
correct? And
Yes.
And how many electrodes can this produce in a given time?
This machine here will run at 60 cycles a minute. It makes 2 electrodes at a time, so it's doing 120 electrodes a minute. So should turn out 30-something thousand a day.
And with a machine like this, how long of a process is it from when you establish the order for it to when you actually get it here in the shop?
We typically will tell people it takes anywhere from 18 to 20 weeks. The building of it is not as time constraining as the ordering the cylinders that go on it. They come from a cylinder manufacturer, so we're kind of at the mercy of when they can get that stuff delivered. So, but typically it'll take 2 to 3 months from start to finish. Every machine we build is custom made, so there's only 2 machines that have ever left here that were identical twins. Every other machine, it's custom built for what the customer needs. So there'll be certain stations that may not be on a machine, or certain stations that have to be modified for their needs. So every machine's different.
This is Mike Ballard, the founder and CEO of Taylor Industries. This has been Taylor Tidbits.
I choose red for unlimited possibilities.
I choose red because my family is less than an hour away, but I still get to be independent.
I get to apply my classroom experience to my everyday life. That's why I chose red.
Okay, that'll work. Why do you choose red?
Choose red
Choose red.
Choose the University of Central Missouri.
Choose red. Kidding, that was a joke.
And welcome back to this week's edition of the Heart of the Mule underneath the Taylor Industries tent. So Michael, you're originally from Overland Park, Kansas. You went to Shawnee Mission South, home of where Rob Riggle, the famous actor, went as well. You were a 4-year letter winner in cross country and 3-year in track. You couldn't get that 4th one in track?
Yeah, freshman year was a little bit rough for me. Dealt with an injury in my butt, but you know, it happens. So see what we can do with that.
So in kind of going to your senior year, you end up being an all-state runner in cross country. Your teams won conference and state championships. Talk about being able to just finish off your senior season with a state championship like your team did.
Well, my senior year, we had a group of kids who we'd been running together since 7th grade, since middle school. So we had 6 seniors in the top 7 of our team that senior year, and really it was a lot of the journey that really culminated into the success of our state and league championships. Working together with those guys day in and day out, every day for 4 years, really made actually winning the title that much better. I would say without those guys, it just wouldn't have been the same. So I'm thankful for them every day.
And then after all the success that you had in high school, you end up coming here to UCM. Just kind of talk about the transition between high school and college and some of the main differences.
Well, the transition was pretty difficult running wise. I was running 30 more miles a week, 20 more miles a week, trying to do it on my own. And you know, it was tough because I just was not prepared for that mentally. Mentally, I was not mature enough my freshman year to really handle the mileage and the team and be able to make a really strong contribution to the team. So I was thankful that I kind of had a big learning curve, so I was able to pick it up quickly and make the adjustments that I needed to for my sophomore year. So.
And as a freshman here in cross country, you ran in 5 races and you finished 8th out of all UCM runners at the MIAA championships. Just kind of talk about being a true freshman like you were and being able to compete on the, at the MIAA championships.
That was really big for me. And I remember the course that year. It was in Maryville at Northwest Missouri. It was the hardest course I've ever run. It was the hardest course any of us had ever run. So to get that experience was really big for me because it really pushed me to be a better runner, realized where I need to be in the conference to make a good contribution to our team.
And going on to your sophomore season, you end up finishing 39th overall at the MIAA championships, but then you make that next step. You end up going to the D2 race, the D2 Nationals, and you finished at a time of 33:07:08. Just kind of, again, talk about kind of making that next step and building the momentum.
Well, definitely that was the biggest summer and biggest fall I'd ever run mileage-wise, easy. I was working every day, and then I was working a job at that point too, so it was tough trying to find the adjustment between the running and the work. So I got in there, I ran my first race of the season. I was maybe 9th on the team. I didn't run very well. I knew I was better than that, so I realized that my goal was going to have to be get better every race. What can I do to help the team every race? And it was going to have to be a slow and steady progress. So I made it to the conference championship, and I knew that our team was pretty good that year, and if I could get in the top 8, that I might have a shot to go to the Nationals. So I finished 8th on the team at the conference race. That put me on the regional team, which I was really ecstatic for. However, I was an alternate. I wasn't even technically supposed to run at the national meet until after regionals, when we qualified. Our top runner left the team and decided to go pro, so that really put me on the spot. That put me into the national race. And I just remember that it felt like all that work that I had put on over the summer and the fall, over all the years, had finally come together, and I was finally ready to prove myself to my team on the biggest stage in D2. And I was very lucky to have that opportunity through those kind of freak causes, and our team ended up placing 21st out of 32, maybe it was 22nd, but I was 3rd on the team by that point at that race. Granted, one of our top 5 had been sick, so it was very cool to have that opportunity and be a part of that team.
And then going to your junior year, you race at the Central Regional, and your time was better at the regional than it was at the D2 championships the year before. Just kind of talk about how, all of the training that you had done and kind of just keep on building up the blocks.
Well, My junior season was similar to my sophomore season, the way that I underperformed at the conference meet. I placed 22nd, no, I wasn't even 22nd, I believe I was 27th at the conference meet, 26th, and to come in at the regional meet and place 30th was really big for me. By that point, I'd moved up to roughly 12th in the conference at the regional meet if it had been scored as a conference race. So just knowing that I was capable of doing it and trying to make those steps was another big part of the process. But now it's a matter of finding consistency within my race and make sure that I'm always up there with those top guys.
Yeah, and also in your junior season as well, you did your personal best at Southwest Baptist of 26:03:09. Kind of talk about what was your feelings after that race and you know, after you found out that that was your personal best?
Honestly, it was a little disappointing for a personal best because I've been dealing with a couple hamstring issues my junior year. So just to finish the race, top 30 felt really good, but knowing that there was a little something inside me that could do better, just trying to find a way to get better. It was nice to get that PR, but a little disappointing knowing that my PR could have been better.
And then just kind of a quick overall of your junior season. You had 3 top 10 finishes, and you also placed 6th at the, highlighted with the 6th place at the Mule run. Could you kind of start to sense the, all of the training that you had done had just kind of culminated in your junior year?
Yeah, that was definitely exciting knowing that I was getting the motor going, that things were really starting to come together. My focus has always been to compete, get in with the top guys and see what you can do. And I think that kind of demonstrates the success that I had with that, and finally being able to really put that into action in college was incredibly exciting.
And then not only were you successful on the course and and with your running, but you were also an academic honor roll member, and how were you able to keep up with not only your running schedule that you had, but also your classes as well?
Well, really keeping up with both is just trying to schedule and plan ahead of my projects that are due, really spend time on my homework, spend time on my classes, and make sure that I know what's due when and how that relates to my racing schedule. So just being aware.
And then so far this season, it's been a good one for you. Just kind of talk about again, we've kind of had these building blocks, of freshman through junior year, and now it's your senior season with the culmination of it all. Just kind of talk about the focus of this senior year.
This will be my 10th year of running, so it's really special. Really, for me, this has been one of the most exciting journeys of my life. This has been something that I focused on since as long as I can remember, and to be able to feel like I'm being somewhat successful in what I'm trying to do is really exciting, knowing that the hard work does eventually pay off, and knowing that after all the blood, sweat, and tears that something's really finally coming together. I really hope that I can take advantage of that in these upcoming weeks.
And just kind of being here at UCM, it's been head coach Kirk Peterson the entire time through your 4 years here. Just kind of talk about, Coach Peterson in general and kind of the first time you ever met him.
When I first met Coach Kirk, it was going to be my senior year of high school, and I can remember how nice he was. He was just open and honest, and I remember I really liked that. I visited and talked to a couple other coaches, but Coach Kirk most definitely felt the most real to me. He felt the most, it is what it is. I'm not trying to put on a front to get you to come here. I'm just being open and honest. And I really liked that. I really liked what he was about. I appreciated that.
And then obviously with this season, going on, head coach Kirk Peterson is unable to, be with the team. He's been recovering from some medical procedures. Just kind of talk about, the team's morale without, Coach Peterson there.
It's been difficult. He was someone that I trusted a lot. He was someone I really looked up to, but we have Ben Barrows, who is an assistant coach, a volunteer coach, who became assistant coach this year. And to have him around has been just really wonderful. He's been able to step up and take care of some of the issues that Kirk took care of. And we also had Kip Janvrin, our track coach, who was also able to help step up. And having both those guys around is really definitely, they've done a good job of filling the big hole that Kirk left. But Kirk also had a fantastic program in place, so we knew what it was about. We knew the direction we were heading, and those guys were able to just pick that up with it and run with it. So it's incredibly exciting. Excited to see what we do at this conference and regional meets.
Thank you for joining us on this week's edition of Heart of the Mule. We will be back next week underneath the Taylor Industries tent. Hi, I'm Jason Ketz, and thanks for watching this week's edition of the Heart of the Mule presented by Taylor Industries. If you or someone you know would like to be on the show, email us at theheartofthemule@gmail.com.